Hello, guys. Thank you for tuning in to Un Poco Mas, the show where we try to give you just a little bit more. On behalf of executive producer extraordinaire Hurricane Lopez, my name is DannyDealz. I'm here in studio with Stock Karen. Of course, she has her customary complaints. She wants to speak with the manager. A lot of us Tenax investors want to speak with the manager because the stock's performance has been absolutely abysmal. We have been hanging out now down around the 30 cent to mid 30s for the last month and a half. We have got absolutely no traction on the stock. There really hasn't been anything of note to report. Warrants had been exercised on a cashless basis, but today we have an SEC filing in the form of a 10Q from Tenax Therapeutics. Um, it's not actually, it's basically the quarterly report. This is their earnings for Q1. It's not actually super interesting, but just want to do a video. Haven't touched base with my 10X community here in a little bit, but I was out of town on a business trip last week, and I have been adding shares of 10x. I haven't sold any shares of 10x. I still believe 10x is very, very undervalued, but you do you. I'm not trying to give people advice, not trying to tell people what to do. A lot of people are like, oh, you want people to dump, you're a short. I don't see why I would come on and consistently sing the praises of the stock and buy shares. And I've called out my trades for months and months and months. They're pretty easy to verify because I was buying in odd quantities. And my friends on several bulletin boards know that I definitely own a lot of shares of the stock. Pure long, no hedge, no stop loss, no options, and very, very little common sense to boot. So anyway, 10x filed their 10Q, but before we get into that, I just want to take a quick look at the price action. On the day, 10x was down about 3 cents or 8%, down another penny after hours. So dropped off a cliff today, 10%. The previous close was at 36 cents last Friday, opened up at 35, and is now sitting down at 32 and a half cents. If you take a look at 10x Therapeutics, you will see that the 52-week low and all-time low, for that matter, is 30 cents on the dot. Um, and that took place, just hit 30 cents back here on May 3rd. And as you can see from the this little chart here, we have a nice little V-shaped pattern here. And until I see evidence otherwise, I'm gonna say that was the bottom. I don't think the hedge fund in question has that much to gain by continuing to push the stock down. If we take a look at a little bit longer chart going back, about a year or so, you'll see that 10x is trading in this neat little channel. It was finding some support earlier at $10. Let me move my, whoops, moving the wrong thing. Let me move my giant head over here so it's out of your way. Um, but if you see this channel, 10x fell all the way down. Initially had found some support at $5 and then broke down below that. It's kind of just been trading in this sideways and downward channel for the last year. Every time it tries to pop up out of this channel, it's basically been a pump and dump. The two times it has challenged it. Come down off the low side a couple of times, but basically fairly consistent in here. And then, as you can see, since February, the stock broke down under $1 and has been sort of trading sideways and obviously bleeding downward also ever since. And then, if you get into just the starting in April, basically, the stock has been trading in the 30s. It's came down to 34, back up below 40, broke down to 30 cents, which again is the low here, and then came back up, 37, I believe high as 37, 38 cents the other day. And then since Wednesday, it has crept back down. Just taking a look at the 5 day. Peaked out Wednesday at 38 cents and then it has just come back down. You say, okay, why is the stock come back down? It looked like it was building some momentum off of the 30-cent low, pushing back up, some good buys, and then all of a sudden the stock is way back down. So if you want to know, is this just people dumping? Why would they dump down here? No. In fact, in the last 7 days, if you take a look, let me again move I always do that. Let me move my giant head out of your way a little bit. Um, but if you take a look at the short interest just over the last 7 days, the shares on loan have gone up 242% from 136,000 to almost 500,000. The cost to borrow has gone up 12% from 192% to 216%, and the utilization has gone up 100% from 17% to 34%. The free float, it's showing is still very, very low because we've just had massive dilution in the stock from the recent offering. But I believe there's a much more significant short on this stock than meets the eye. Again, you can look at these statistics. They're all over the place. When you have these, I believe Vortex is the very best in the business with data, and I sing its praises. I'm certainly not sponsored by Ortex, but I love the I love the information, and I love how much you can glean in a very short amount of time. But in any case, the if you look at the price action from last Wednesday to today and going down from that high there, that little mini high of 38 cents back down to 33, that could be explained by low volume and the fact that the short has significantly grown in the last 7 days. And you can see that the volume 5 days ago was just 500,000, and then 700,000 peaked all the way up over 2 million shares traded, back down to 7, back down to 4. And the volume today was back up to 642,000 shares. So pretty moderate volume. And the one thing I'd like to point out on this chart here is that if you take a look at the stock, this is the first time it's really, really consolidated sideways like this. In the last few times it's been in this channel, it's tried to break through the moving average once, twice, 3 times, kind of broke through it here. You'll see the trading has been very choppy. It's been, negative but choppy. Here we have 6 weeks of basically absolutely flat, low volume trading. The churn is down, and just when the stock started to just get a little momentum, it was reshorted. So somebody wants to hold that stock there for news. I can't think of anything else they're going to do but pump the stock and run it up. I don't see why else they would have bought all those shares in the offering and then, shorted it down, washed out retail, and then hold the stock down here around 30 cents. So if we jump over to the 10Q, just basically this is very, very simple. There isn't too much in it, but it does answer several questions. End of March, end of Q1, cash and cash equivalents on hand were 14 million as opposed to 2 million last year. Obviously, that's from the 13.7. They just got an offering. They had a couple million on hand, so that adds up. I won't bore you with all these numbers. You can go over to investors.tenxthera.com/SEC filings, and all you have to do is click on HTML or doc or PDF or XLS, whatever format you want. They make it all available for you. So I would advise you, if you're an investor in this company, if you're thinking about investing in this company, the very least you owe it to yourself is to read the actual data for yourself, the actual numbers. Everyone like me, who's just a big fat blowhard on YouTube, or the analysts who are rating the stock, or the talking heads on TV, they can say whatever they want, but the only thing that doesn't lie is numbers. So if you're going to invest in a stock, look at the numbers. Look at, what they're spending, what they're making, what they're bringing in. Of course, Tenax isn't bringing in anything, but their cash situation looks very good because the operating expenses were only 1.2 million, and then the research and development were 265,000. So total spend through 3 months 2023 is 1.5 million. And you'll note that salaries for the quarter were about $600,000 or 200,000 per month. So for all of the talent they have on hand, and they have trimmed expenses about as far as they can. So they're down to spending about $6 million per year at the current rate. They have almost $15 million cash. So you could see that they could go along at this sort of skeleton rate for a couple of years before they would have to declare bankruptcy because they have almost no debt. Um, Statement of cash flows, again, you can see that liabilities, total liabilities is less than $1 million. So, there's just a note payable, 500,000 accrued liabilities. So they have very, very little debt, and they have plenty of cash. So there's absolutely no worries about bankruptcy, despite that being bandied about by idiotic bears and shorts and the trolls and FUD spreading turds that they employ for those pennies per post. Anyway, statement of cash flows. It's all here, guys. One of the things that you'll note, they just go ahead and give you the share count and the warrants outstanding. So, not all the warrants were exercised on a cashless basis, as we might have thought. There's like 21.7 million shares outstanding, and there's still 4.5 million warrants outstanding. So, if those are eventually exercised on the basis of 1.75, let's see, you got 4.5 times 1.75 shares per warrant. That's almost 8 million. You add that to the 21.7 you currently have, and you end up with like 29.5 million shares that I think we're ultimately going to be stuck with until the next offering or dilution or print or whatever you want to call it. There's quite a bit of information in here, but it's basically nothing that's unexpected. They got out of their lease, as we know. Their current rent is $750 per month for a virtual office. As you go down through the warrants, you'll see that there are 1.5 were outstanding December 31st. They issued 17 million 333,000. The weighted average price 225. They exercised 14 million. So that with the 1.5 that and then 3 that are outstanding from that offering, you're left with 4.5 million outstanding warrants. I think only the 3 million are exercisable for cash. The 1.75. The ones that were already existing, the 1.5, probably will not be exercised unless the share price. So I can actually cut that share count down by about 3 million. So we probably land more 26 million shares. Pardon me for that mistake, but I read this thing, but I'm trying to follow a lot of stocks, and Tenax is like a bouncing ball. They added so many shares for so little money. It was a bit, it was very tough as somebody who's been, but I mean, that's where you have to make a decision. If you believe the company's that undervalued and, the hedge funds are buying the offering, they drove down the price, and that allowed me to accumulate a lot of shares down in the 30s. And, so you have to decide if you get wiped out with dilution, but you get an opportunity to buy ultra cheap shares way, way cheaper than the hedge fund, that's a decision you have to make for yourself. But I chose to chase and load and average way, way down. So anyway, guys, this is the 10Q for Tenax Therapeutics. It gives you all the share counts, all the warrants, stock options, inducements. It's not really that big of a deal. They go through all the reasons they believe Levosimendan will be approved by the FDA. The commercial potential, the fact that they can use the trial data for iminotib that was developed by Novartis. They have tons and tons of data that could be helpful with FDA approval. They talk about why they think the FDA is, really bending over backwards to approve Levosimendan for this particular type of heart failure. Because it works, it improves exercise capacity, and ultimately it improves the quality of people's lives. And there are no treatments approved, no treatments available. So the FDA not only agreed to their endpoint, it agreed to change the oral formulation, and it has basically indicated, I think, that they really, really want to approve this drug. But, I'm no expert on FDA approvals. Dr. Rich is. But the short interest has grown significantly since the stock topped out there at 38 cents on Wednesday, and it's been shorted back down. Volume has come back out of the stock, and absolutely nothing is happening. If you want to know why, I still sort of believe in this company, just take a look at this article in Pulmonary Hypertension. Andrea Lobo, this was last April 14th, 2023. It says TNX 103 could become first FDA approved therapy for treatment of PHHF PEF. And there are millions of people, you know, per year that live with this condition, and there are absolutely no treatments available. This is a CEO expanding our IP estate to include multiple formulations of Levosimendan for use in treatment of PHHF PEF remains a key strategic objective for our company, CEO Chris said in the TENX press release. Considering the therapeutic advancements that have been made across most areas of cardiovascular medicine over the last several decades, it is remarkable that, despite the millions of patients suffering with PHHF PEF, not a single medication has been approved to treat this highly debilitating and life-threatening condition, said Stuart Rich, MD, Chief Medical Officer of Tenax. And they just go on to talk about the exercise capacity, the endpoint, the phase 2 data, the expectations for phase 3, and basically the key here is in a meeting, the FDA agreed on 1 or 2 phase 3 trials evaluating changes in the 6-minute walking distance over 12 weeks, or 1 phase 3 trial evaluating clinical worsening, i.e., hospitalization for heart failure, worse exercise capacity, or death over 24 weeks as sufficient to show Levosimendan's effectiveness in treating PHHF-PEF. And the agency also agreed on a plan to replace weekly IV Levosimendan with daily treatment of TNX 103 oral formulation in a phase 3 study. So you can read all about imatinib, I always pronounce these things wrong, Levosimendan, CEO Chris, Chief Medical Officer Stuart Rich. Bottom line, it's the 10Q provides some interesting fodder for us, big blabberheads who just want to blow some hot air, but just again, haven't touched base with the 10X stock in a little while, so I wanted to make a quick video just updating you on the share count, the cash position, the debt, the short interest, any P3 news, which is, of course, nil. Still looking for a partner, still looking for a buyout, still looking for any way to get that P3 underway this year, which Tenax has indicated they intend to do. If you have any thoughts on Tenax Therapeutics, please hit me up down in the comments. Let me know where you think this thing's going, if we're going to see anything this year, if we're actually going to get this P3 trial started this year. Let me know who you think the most likely partners are going to be. Let me know what you think about this price action and why the price has gotten so low and why it's basically been held very steady. Just one other thing I wanted to note is that after we've been going along, the 50-day moving average is coming down to meet us. So the price is about to cross the 50-day moving average. That's normally a bullish signal, but because the price has just stayed so damn low, the moving average is just coming down to meet us rather than the price action actually breaking through. So I don't know how bullish that is, but it's the best I could pass for an interesting factoid with this fabulous video. And I'm sure that no one is still watching this, but if you are, God bless you. You have the patience of a saint, and I salute you. But I want to thank you for watching Un Poco Mas. My name is DannyDealz. The show is produced by Hurricane Lopez and supervised by Stock Karen. She would like to speak with your manager. If you have anything at all to say, interesting, not interesting, stupid, spam, just leave it down in the comments. I know you will. You guys are good like that. Thanks for watching. We'll talk at you when there is some actual news, unlike today on Tenax with this exciting filing of information we already knew. Have a nice day. It's Monday. It's May 15th, 2023. It's 6:15 p.m. on the Pacific Coast.